Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic week. Well, it can happen anywhere. Fire on a cruise ship is one of the worst things possible. And there have been two recently on Russian cruise ships. So one of the scariest propositions to anybody on any kind of cruise ship is a fire on a cruise ship. And really none more so than on the smaller riverboat cruise ships because there's far less time that it takes for that fire and smoke to engulf the hallways and the narrowness of a long river cruise boat than say a wider open up cruise ship. You can usually get away from the smoke and inhalation by climbing and heading up and at least get to the evacuation. But in the river boats, the smoke just spreads so quickly it can immediately render you unconscious and choking. And that's kind of what happened in here. The cruise ship, I'm going to butcher the names, and if you're of Russian descent, I apologize. I believe it's the Pietra Tchaikovsky or Peter Tchaikovsky, as we would pronounce it here in Canada. It's a small river cruise ship, normal size from all the other river cruise ship, but it's a river cruise ship, caught fire, and 320 people had to be evacuated, and one person apparently has died from the fire. It sounds like a lot of people to be on a riverboat, but that's not quite the case because when cruise ships dock, quite often in ports, because of limited space and so many cruise ships out there on the rivers, they often dock side by side and they'll moor off together. So it wasn't 320 people evacuated, it was more like 160 on each one. But because it's tied off to the other boat, they obviously all had to be evacuated. And reporter, it's very sketchy because it's coming from Russia as far as the news reporting on this is concerned. But apparently one person has been reportedly died. Other people were treated for smoke inhalation, but the rest are pretty much okay. And it's one of those things that you never know. You always have to be aware of your surroundings, as I always say. And the firefighters actually said that they were hampered to fight the fire because the cruise ships were tied off together. And it happened to be the one on the outside that was the one that caught fire. So of course they had to go through the other boat with all the hoses, etc., to try and put out the fire as it was going. And eventually it just overwhelmed the boat. No reports on the amount of damage. According to people, it was pretty severe. There are two reports. One was it started in a mechanic's stateroom. Another said it came and started from their engine room. So like I said, it's Russian news. It's not the most reliable out there right now of what actually goes on. But I thought I'd just bring that up as a heads up because also just 2 weeks ago, another Russian cruise ship that was in for repairs caught fire and burnt about 60% of the ship as well. So that's two Russian fires on Russian cruise ships in 2 weeks, which is something that we should be aware of because a lot of people do like to head over and take the cruise ships through Russia instead of taking like AMA Waterways or Viking. They want to go with an authentic Russian cruise line, especially if you're from Russia and you want to speak to all the Russian people on the cruise ships and the staff, and you want to feel comfortable in your native language. Perfectly understandable, but you have to remember sometimes the standards are a little different and maybe the safety precautions may be as well. I'm only speaking in theory. This is not a fact. This is an opinion because I've never served or I've never cruised on a Russian cruise ship or a Russian river cruise ship. I hope their standards would be the same. I don't even know if they belong to the CLIA, the Cruise Line International Association, or not, because it's a whole other government and cruise line and what has to be involved. So take that with a grain of salt. That's just my opinion. If you're going on those ships, they tend to be older and beware, the safety standards might not be quite there, but again, a fire can happen anywhere. So I just thought I'd bring it out to everybody who's heading off on a cruise. You always be around, aware of your surroundings, and don't get too comfortable that you don't pay attention to fire alarm bells or people yelling in the middle of the night. Still pay attention. Well, I hope you liked this update. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Till next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.